All right, so tonight what I wanted to address is we went over basic form modeling and some advanced techniques and such. But that's exactly what I wanted to go over tonight. Is go over some other form form sculpting techniques, specifically things like more sketch projecting, so that you can intentionally cut out or extrude, push, pull, anything like that, features into your plush toy forms, as well as something we haven't really worked with much this semester is the other options within the combine tool, your Boolean function, namely the intersect function. It's a way that to get around things that, as we were working with last week, like in the rubber ducky here, we used projections to get the wings out, or sketch projections to get the wings out, or at least split faces and such. But we used within the form space, we used the offset face, which is kind of like extrude, only it works a little bit more effectively than the actual emboss tool, which is really what it's more akin to. And like the emboss tool, like the offset face, what it does is it is functioning on the same concept as like your offset line tool. It's not a direct move away. It's not a direct extrusion. It's not a direct projection where you have straight perpendicular lines. It moves out in the projected path. So like the example here, the mouse over page, it doesn't just push or pull straight over. It actually conforms as it thickens or moves further away from your original set of lines, your original set of faces. So that's what happened with this duck. And when we did that, what happened is, if I'm looking this way, the wings projected outward and away rather than just directly. So I want to work with some of that stuff, namely for being able to add like features in, as well as being able to split faces for applying appearances and that such. So let's go ahead and get started with that. First, standard procedure, save, especially if I can avoid whatever issue we were having before of a saving error. So example, split faces and bodies. Yes, split all the faces and all the bodies. Great. So obviously you got to start with a form here. In this case, really doesn't matter, but let's start with a rounded form again, and let's try the quad ball this time, just to give you an example of what that looks like if you haven't before. I'm just going to start right in the center. Really doesn't matter. I can pull it out. Let's see here. Let's just do 100. Sure. But before we hit start again, before I hit OK, do have my options here. Span faces. This is a completely different set of face generation than, say, your sphere tool, because your sphere tool is chopped up by longitudinal and latitudinal lines. This is a quad ball, is basically a rounded cube or box. So it has defined faces, kind of, but it's more along those lines. If you think of if you had a square box and you blew it up into like a balloon, that's what a quad ball would be. So your faces, you're going to have your basic set of up, down, and your four major faces. But when I split those up further, you see how much more complex it can get. But I'll show, and just showing you how it generates those, it's still generating it on a cube-like or a rounded cube-like design. So like anything before, you can always make stuff complicated later. Keep it simple for first. So we'll just stick with two faces, show you what happens when you do one. See, it's a lot more understandable as a kind of ballooned cube, or an old screensaver that shifted between cubes and spheres. Yeah, that's still a thing. And you can, of course, place your symmetries. You got mirror, still got the same designs. You can see length, width, height, whatever you want to work with. We'll work with width this time. Irrelevant, but just throwing something in. Okay. So I got my symmetry placed. We got there. All right. So let's do a little manipulation. Open up edit form. select all the things. I can select my point, warp outward. You see where I'm working there. Let's make kind of some sort of goobery looking eyeball thingy thing. I don't know, whatever. And of course, if y'all want me to specifically try to model anything as I'm doing this, please do let me know. Working with face, drag outward. Again, just making some stuff. I can, of course, still extrude out. So go to that, select that face, press and hold Alt, drags outward. And then let's go to the back here. Again, press and hold Alt. And it looks like, oh, we're going in opposite directions. That is problematic. So double check that you actually have the correct plane you're working with. So let's move to upward here or from below, whichever. I'm trying to grab that plane. There we go. And we're going to make something kind of like a goobery little frog friend. Why not? Hey there, buddy. And we're going to work out a little bit more. Grabbing the same, just giving it some little frog feet. And we'll warp that around. Not too much, because then it'll start to become self-intersecting. And that becomes a big problem. Okay, so I got a goobery little kind of sort of frog-like thing. At least it looks like it in my mind. And we just won't go there because my brain does odd things. Extrude failure, that's okay. I am not worried about an extrusion failure because things. Okay, so I got this kind of little, like, if you'll go with it, sort of kind of frog-like thing. So hit OK. And like I said before, a good idea is after you kind of get finished sculpting, or at least in a good spot, double check, go to your finished form, see if it gives you any errors. Finished form, no errors. Yeah, great. So we'll go back in. Let me move my toolbar here, sorry. Go back in, edit. All right. So first what I want to do is let's give it some features. And I'm going to use some sketch projections to give it some eyeballs and such. Eyeballs and a face. Now, we did a little bit of this last time, but just to reiterate. So you can create sketches while inside the form environment, and it works just the same. So create sketch, you select what plane you want to work on. Now, I want to work directly at the face. So I'm going to select the X or the YZ plane. So I'm working straight on. I have mirror on, so I can just work on one side or the other, and it will do the same on the other side. So, okay. So I want to work there in that plane. However, I don't want to work inside the form. I actually want to project forward. So actually, what I should have done, finish sketch, that's all right. And you see, again, it's not creating anything inside. But I do have, on the history slider, but I do have a sketch function within the hierarchy tree. So it does generate there. It just doesn't generate nodes on the history slider. So I want to make a construction plane first. Built off of that one and just pulled out front. Wherever, sure. 100 millimeters, that's fine and dandy. Great. All right, so now create sketch on there, working on the right. Cool. So let's start with what seems frog-like. Well, let's give it some adorable little eyeballs first. So let's start with a circle. And sure, 25. Okay, doesn't really matter. That works. Okay. And do something again. We'll go ahead and nest another one concentric right in the center. And we'll put that at 15. That seems reasonable-ish. Okay, finish sketch. Now I have a second set of sketches. We're good here. So let's just mark that as eyes, so I know what I'm doing. Hey, sorry. Really bad puns are unavoidable sometimes. And when I mean sometimes, I mean all the times. All right, so what I want to do next is actually project. But I have to do some other things. Now, right here, I can extrude, I can do all kinds of stuff. But I want to create a sketch there. But to do the projection, you see, it didn't appear before when I hadn't already started another sketch. Because in order to project to a surface, unlike borrowing a projection from a body and projecting it to a plane to reverse that, you have to have a sketch already active. It's really irritating, but that is the step. You create one sketch, finish that sketch, start another sketch on that on a parallel plane, and then you can actually use the project include section. So I'm going to go down to project include, and before we were using project and all that, but here I want to use project to surface. So select that. The surface I'm selecting, or faces, is right there. Now again, remember, if you're looking straight on, make certain that the entire face, or rather, if you have multiple faces that are intersecting your sketch, make sure you have all of those selected. All right. Now select curves, and now it'll only let me select one of these at a time. Actually, it'll let me do both if I really want to do this. So there we go. But if I orbit around, remember, it's right now, it's on closest point first. So if I go to here, that is not directly behind. If I want that to be directly behind, switch from projection type, closest point to along vector. And it's going to give you an option. You see this arrow going through, great. And you're going to have to select that face again. Problem is, it's real tricky to get at because my origin is inside the body. So hide the bodies, select the plane. Now you can see, even though the body is hidden, you can see that that sketch is being projected on the geometry of that surface. And it's all warped in multiple directions, which is exactly what I want. When I unhide the body, now you see right there. Great. That's exactly what I want. So hit OK. Now I have sketch 3, which is that actual selection. When I mouse over, you can see that it is a project to surface. Okay. Done with that, finish sketch. Now what I would do, go to modify, excuse me, and I can play off of that. Now I can't split faces yet because that's a whole different situation. I'd have to do that outside of the form environment. But with this, I can then do things like push and pull. But I do have to have that split. That's right. That's okay. Sorry, somebody's printing something and it was doing some clicking. All right, so it's not going to let me split, push and pull anything from there. All right. I'm going to create symmetry. Nope, 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 nope. Let's see here. I often get confused on this one, and I apologize. Give me a moment. Yeah, so I can work with the sketch there. Great. Subdivide there. No, it's not going to let me do all that. Okay. All right. So I did, in fact, confuse myself. Same process. Yes, you can sketch and all that. But what you can't do is then split that. See, I can function off of that. I can extrude, which is an edge, which frankly, that's fine. And I can work in and out. I just can't work the other way, which is what I really wanted to do. So let me try that real quick and let's see if we can kind of play around with this from here. Extrude, multiple. It'll only let you select one feature there, but I try it out. Okay, extrude, faces, and you see what I'm doing basically is creating a set of lines here. It's not creating a capped face. We can put a cap on that in a minute. So let's just play with that for a moment. Select OK. Now I have this extrusion. Of course, my sketch got hidden. From here, it is in fact a second body, that extrusion there. So I can seal this up, and I can actually make this its own sealed body by going to modify and fill hole. Select the edge, whoop, and now I have this kind of oddball little thing here. But again, that is an entity unto itself, and it's uncapped. So there is that. And of course, you can go through your different selection types. Oops, sorry. Fill star, collapse. And again, if you want to actually keep it rigid, select the maintain crease edges. I don't. Oops, so back to fill star. There we go. That's more like what we're going for. Okay. So unhide the body. And let me just label that body. Okay. Now it's not going to mirror over because I haven't done anything to it. I'd have to actually split this up and such. So kind of got a problem with that, and that's all right. Let's see if we can cut something else off here. Sorry, I'm getting an error that's my screen that's throwing me off here. I wanted to be able to do that. It's not letting me. Problem. There we are. Curve. Nope, it's not letting me do any of that. Okay, well, poop bibbles. That's all right. Finish form. So I still have my sketches, and while I was able to pull stuff off of there, and I could still create bodies, all of that sort of thing, what I really wanted to do, the frog body is there. When I finished the form, because that eyeball was unfinished, it's just that dome, it's an incomplete form. So that would be ideal really for creating things like buttons and things like that. But I don't want that. Let me hide that the eyeball thingy, and let's zoom back out. So I have here that those lines, those sketches are still projected onto the surface because it functions kind of both in and outside of the form environment. It's very problematic. So go to here. What I'm trying to do is actually split that face so I can pull those eyeballs out. Go to split face. I want to split this face, splitting tool, and I can select one of these. I can't do both at the same time, but it does project all the way through if you have the extend splitting tool checkbox selected. Ultimately, if I don't, it's fine. It's good. It's not going to interact with anything back here because I only have this front face selected. And you have all these same split with surface along vector. These are also the same, basically the same issues, but we want to keep it with split with surface. So okay. So now it's all the same, but I do have a separate surface here. So let me do that one more time. Right click because it was the most recent thing. Select there. Again, splitting tool. Now that line. Yes, yes, yes. There we are. Okay, great. What's the issue? Give me an error. Compute failed. Okay, that's odd. Let's try that again. Don't know why I did that. I think I went too fast. Oh, because I selected this face. What I needed to have selected was that interface. So I can deselect that just to there. Okay, great. Splitting tool. Easy to get those confused. There we go. Now, as I mouse over, they are in fact different faces. Great. Okay, this is where I wanted to be. So now I can go to modify. Before, what we used was not replace, offset face. So technically you could use extrude. Technically, it doesn't let you'd actually have to select. Oh, I'm erroring out here. So you wanted to use extrude, you'd have to go from here back, but I don't. So I want to use the offset face. So I can select here and mouse out. Now again, what's happening is it is expanding outward. Now, if that's not a problem for you, then okay, it's not a problem. Great. So 6 millimeters, sure. Right click to repeat. Same with that outer one. And let's go with 5 because that's just slightly less. Okay, great. So that's how you can start to create features. But again, you do have the issue that it does in fact project outward like that. But you can use things like fillet tool and such to round these over. If you want to smooth some of these pieces out, right there and right there. Let's try 0.5 because they're really small. It starts to round those two over, or rather, tell you what, select that one and let's do there to 1. That ought to round it entirely. Great. And we'll do another one to the edge there. We'll do 2. What's the problem? Did it not select everything? Tell you what, we'll just do a second fillet. Make sure it's all the way around. There we are. 2 seems too much. What is the problem? Cannot be created because reasons. Let's zoom in, make sure that there's no errors like I skipped selection. There it is. There was still, for some reason, this one little split. So make sure to select all of those. Now we got it. Sometimes that happens. It's So just double check. If it gives you an error, make sure that you look around to see whether or not you missed like a tiny section of something. I'm gonna expand that a little bit more. There we are. And we'll do one more, select the base. And as we just found out, it does not select that one tiny chunk. So double check that. We'll do like a 1 millimeter. Let it think. Hopefully it didn't just crash it. There we are. Okay. So now you can see I've got a rounded eyeball and all that such. Great. Let it think. Okay. So I have a nice rounded thing for eyes and all that such. Let's go ahead and save there. Offset face eye. All right. So the other thing would be, all right, great, but that all goes directly out and it follows the plane that it's already existing on. What if instead I wanted something that's much more direct? Well, since I created the sketch and I should have put the mirror on before, let's go ahead and mirror it now. I want to mirror not faces, bodies, features, none of that. Oh, because it's a sketch. I need to go back into that sketch. There we are. Where is edit? Edit sketch. Edit sketch. It's not letting me edit. That's strange. It's not letting me do that. Slice the sketch. Slicey slice. Let's see here. 1 second. Okay. So I wasn't able to, or what I should have done was double these sketches. Okay. What I should have done was double these sketches before. So my bad. That's on me. I should have done that. I can. It's not letting me go back in to edit those because I created it within the form space. So let's try this. Go all the way back. Edit form. Now I'm within here. And let's see if it'll let me mirror that sketch. Let's create a sketch on that same construction plane. There we go. And try to mirror. Crud. It's still not letting me. That is irritating.
Are you trying to mirror the whole
I was just going to try and mirror just a sketch so I could do something different but the same. That's all right. So my bad. Should have done that way. I could just go ahead and delete that sketch there. I was just trying to duplicate that since I'm now within here. There we go. Now it let me edit that sketch. I had to re-enter the form space, and now I can edit the sketch. Great. There it is. Figured out eventually. So most important thing, if you can't figure something out, keep pushing buttons. Now we got it. So I'm going to mirror from across here. I want those two sketches. And my mirror line is, see if it'll let me do any of this. Because it's a mirror, it's not going to let me unless I have a mirror line. So I'm still on this construction plane. So we'll just draw a line smack down the middle. Make sure it's a construction line so it doesn't interfere with anything. Fine. Great. Now I can mirror those lines using my construction line across. Holy free holies. All right. There we are. My confused frog is now will have two eyes. By gum. Okay. So finish sketch. Now, before I did the split face and such within the finished form. Now, this time, what I want to do is show you the difference in using extrude, or at very least try to offset, or not using the offset rather, but using directly. Let's see here. Oh no, I wanted to show you all thicken. That was it. Sorry. That's what happens when my notes are behind me. All right, so I have there. I do want to go back in and see if it'll let me edit this sketch so I can just work on there. Edit sketch. Great. So now I can again project a surface. What faces? That one. What curves? I gotta select the two. not along vector, or yes, along vector. And the direction is select direction, trying to get to that face. And if you can't get it, hide some things. Come on. Nope, not even close. I'm trying to select. There we go. It's very problematic in trying to select things. So I wasn't being able to get around the form body entirely, so I had to hide the entirety of the bodies. There we are. So now it's projecting correctly on that side. You see the red line doing exactly. Okay, great. Problem is I'm like nested several layers under. So finish sketch. Okay then. Finish sketch. Still in the form space though. All right. Good gravy. All right. So I'm going to try to, where was? Thicken. Nope, not able to do that. That's right. I did the split faces outside. Whew, man, that is multi-layer confusing. I'm trying to do that. All right. So we'll finish the form. I was going to try to show you how to thicken from just there, but I guess we'll have to stick with the split face there. All right. So split the face again, say there. Tool, good. Multiple faces, come on. Repeat split face, outer face, splitting tool, same. Okay, great. So we're back to where we kind of sort of were. Let's hide these sketches, try to make it a little bit less confusing. All right, so this is currently a split face. So from here, what I could do is if I want to, instead of have those eyes, have those split faces project outward in all direction, if I would just want it to go straight, I have a couple of options. You can play around with actually quite a few things. So first we use the offset face. That works very well, but it still goes outward like that. You cannot use extrude because it's a curved surface. But what you can do is you can play around with things like hole. If you want to actually literally dig a hole in, you see what happens here. It is kind of a type of extrude, but that's just on the face. I didn't happen to select right in the center. Hole gets very confusing trying to use that. So unless you're just kind of going willy-nilly, I wouldn't use that. The other options are you can use press pull, which it's a little less direct than extrude. It's basically extrude, but it's a very strange option. We haven't really explicitly used it this semester. But unlike extrude, which is designed to work just as a perpendicular function to your sketches, push-pull is kind of like I won't say more of like an omnidirectional tool, but it is a bit more of an intuitive tool. So when I use push-pull, which the hotkey is P, or sorry, Q, I don't know why I forgot which one. We haven't used this much. Select that face, and now it will let me drag out. Now it still projects, but it's not nearly as aggressive as the other. Actually, no, it defaulted as offset face. Never mind. Let me do anything else. No, it's all basically the same. All right, well, I lied to you. The press pull, what it actually does is it kind of guesses what you're trying to do. It can do all the same, but because what I meant by intuitive is it does just that. It tries to guess what it thinks you're doing. If you're selecting a flat thing, it's going to switch itself to extrude. If you're on a more curved surface, it switches itself to off face. I was hoping it was going to give me a slightly different iteration, but I guess it doesn't. So we'll work with that. So this is all around the offset face options and such, and based around the split faces. So I have this. We can extrude outward. These are ways of doing this, obviously. So you can have multiple bug eyes. You can dig inward as well. So if you wanted to have more of like robot eyes, trying to go inward, select OK. Do the same. Q for press pull. Select here. Now I can go outward. So you do have some options to play around with. My mistake. I thought I was giving myself some better options. So there we are. So I guess for what we're doing here, really the best option is probably going to be using that offset face. All right. So those are offset faces. Say eyes, offset faces, not feces. It didn't look that bad. All right. So I do want to show y'all one other thing on this part, which is so far we've just been splitting the faces themselves. Now I want to split the body. Because what that does is actually makes it exactly what it sounds like. It gives it another body. All right. So first, let's draw a sketch. I can keep using this construction plane. That's fine. Now I'm not inside the form space at all. I'm just in the regular sketch space. Here we are. And I'm going to draw across here. Now, again, I do want to make this semi-symmetrical, so we'll draw up and out. Hopefully this doesn't turn into like a nightmare frog. And it looks like I'm well on my way to doing exactly that. That is unsettling. Yeah, it'll just be like just a hanging open maw.
It feels odd. I don't know why. It's just weird when someone adds like that to a frog from this angle. A smile just
Because
wrong.
giant unsettling smile is not welcoming. That's why. Exactly. So I'm going to mirror that across. I can leave it's assuming that I'm still wanting that same line, so it automatically projects my construction line from the previous sketch. So excellent, because I do. So there we go. Mirror line across. Now I have super giant unsettling ass smile. And now don't forget, these are technically two separate. So if I want to move both of these, I need to use a selection box and grab both of them. I'm going to move that up and down. There we go. Now I can try to smooth this out manually, grabbing those. And because they're mirrored, it's going to be doing some kind of weird stuff, trying to flatten them out. There we are. So I won't have that super creepy. Yeah, I won't have the creepy like little strange point in the lips, but I will have this horrifying giant smile. There we go. Okay, finished sketch. It went away because I had all my sketches hidden. All right. We always end up making nightmare creatures. I don't mean to, but I just do. All right. So before I've had to project directly onto the face of what I was working on to split the faces. But with this, I can cut the body in parts. Let that hang. 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on. That's not if you cut it apart. So with splitting the body, it does exactly the sound. Now I'm actually splitting the body itself. So select the whole thing. My splitting tool is my smile. Now, right now, I have the extend splitting tool selected. So it's going to cut all the way through. If I uncheck that, it still goes as far. But now you can see what one of the drawbacks is it's going to cut straight through. So this isn't always the best option. Actually, for a lot of times, the face is what's better. But check that. Now I have multiple pieces. But what happens is I have the frog body, and I hate that how it automatically assigns stuff. But when I hide that, I'm just left with a giant smile that slices right through the body. Let me reverse those. So now I have a complete hole through. Now, this seems like it would be completely useless. However, what I can do now is manipulate. And let me go ahead and change this around a little bit. We'll just go with all caps, smile. If you can't have some unsettling fun, then what's the point? There we are. All right. So I have frog body and my terrifying smile. But what I can do here now, hide the body and be left. Just never ending. But I have this basically chunk of body that this is what I can play with now. So what that means is I could delete away here. Now that seems like it's just a unnecessary set of steps to create the same thing. You'll pause. Give me a moment. I'm going to go turn off this compressor. Sorry, we're in the workroom and I always forget to switch off that compressor. It gets loud. But what that means is with this split face here, I can play around and manipulate this. So what are my options? Well, you have things that like I could still draw on the face. I can do like chamfers or fillets here. So I could do the edge. We'll do like a 1 millimeter fillet, see if it gives me errors. Of course it does. Let me zoom in, see if it selected all the things. It did. Well, then I'll try it by the face. Still give me an error. Let's try 0.5. Still give me an error. Okay, might be too complex. Probably at the points there. I can try and make it that much smaller. Usually with oh great, it's so tiny you can't even see it. Select OK. So it's got a teeny tiny little curve to it, which is basically necessary. So if I unhide the body, it's just got a teeny tiny curve there. So let's just Control Z that, get rid of that split. But some of the other stuff you can play with. What if instead, let's look at our modify options. Yeah, we've been using things like excuse me, just basically like fillet stuff like that. But let's step back to say like shell. You can do some really interesting things with shell because it works off of the faces of your body. So I'm not worrying about the frog body itself. But if I select just the face, I can dial back. Let's see here. Now I have, I went too far. Let's do it numerically. I hollowed out this entire section. So what would be the purpose of that? Not a huge amount, but if you were trying to create like an insert or something like that, like an actual like hollow section, isolating different parts of the body by cutting the body apart like we did would be an excellent way to do this. And this isn't really necessarily a great function for this surface, but it is a interesting option. So let me try just expanding this a little bit. What I'm doing here is just making it a little bit thicker. Let's say by 3. All right, 3 is too much. So we'll keep it at 2. Select OK. Because now that automatic shell function allows me to just have this unsettling giant opening. And it's just because I can generate it automatically. This would be the same thing as, oh, good Lord, you could actually do this to the whole thing. See if I fry out the computer doing a shell to this whole body. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Frog lantern. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just cancel. It's gonna fry it out. But this is exactly how you could do it. Yeah, actually, joking aside, yes, this is how you could actually create a hollow form, like if your plush was a jack-o'-lantern or something like that, or jack-o'-melon. There it is. Hey, but yeah, that's a great way of doing that. And you see how it did not affect the backside because I was just working from there. From in here, I could add features. I could add little bodies. I could add, I don't know, nightmare teeth. Or let's say we could go back and use our pipe tool. Select pipe. And I can use the edge here to create lips. So let's see, I do not want to cut. I want to join. Let's enter numerically by 2. Bam. Now, why stop at 2? Let's give it full luscious frog lips.
I thought go.
Oh, you could have it just take over its entire face.
Slightly.
I don't know if it makes it better or worse, huh?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know.
You could automatically join it or leave it as a new body.
Eventually, it
Select
becomes
OK.
buffet instead.
There you go. Repeat pipe, do the inside there. And again, not cut, new body. We'll give it the same 5mm luscious pipe lips. So there you go. So, I mean, that's just it. With this project, I'm encouraging you to just play around. So that is one function. Let me save there. Pipe lips. God, anybody coming to this and just reading my notes are just going to be, well, I don't want to know what this person is thinking. Now, of course, you still would need to actually join these two together because they're separate. So we'll do just that. Let me hide the body, hide the smile. But because I was able to just use the edge of that, it follows itself. Use the combine tool, target body, combine with the lips. There we are, just a general combine. Stay there. Great. Now I can come in and try to manipulate up here. This is going to cause problems because I can't just use a simple like fillet or something. As in, I could try the edge here. I don't know what that's actually going to allow me to do, but it's going to keep this kind of bump. But I can try and bump that up a little bit until it gets kind of more rounded. There we are. Great. I should have selected both of these, so I will do just that. Holding down the shift key. No, it's not.
It looks like by itself. Do you remember those stupid old DQ commercials? So Dairy Queen had this. I don't know. Their mascot was literally just like a mouth or something. I think, and it just looked exactly like this.
That's odd that it's
fucking horrifying.
So it's doing one but not the other. So all right. Well, we'll just. Oh, I accidentally selected a couple faces. Yeah, mascots get weird. Actually, that's something I didn't think of that to recommend to y'all if you want to look at references. Yeah, mascots. Those are extra points, I guess, if somebody makes it gritty. Just because I freaking love that mascot and their accounts. There we go. So I was able to use the fillets just to round out the edges. I didn't think I was going to because that little notch there, but it worked out. Okay. Resize. There we are. Okay. Now, again, one major issue here is, say I bring up the appearance tool. Say my frog is more or less done-ish. It's not, but there we are. I got this wonky eye. Sure, I like it. Maybe I'll give him a patch later or leave him as is. So if I bring up my appearance tool, switches to steel. But remember, I am active on bodies, components, and faces. So I can select by face or by the whole thing. So let's go with just playing around here. Fabric. Oh, good Lord, we've got leather as well, I forget. So let's give it, yes, denim. We can make a jorg. That's horrible. Yeah, remove it. Do it all. So obviously y'all have fun with however you want. Let's give it a. Oh, well, you got to give it some just good luscious lips, because reasons.
Yeah, they gotta be cherry red, just like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the floating,
the weird,
the floating
thing. Wasn't it weird? I don't know why they did that.
That is not good. Apparently, Dairy Queen had a horrifying mascot of just a floating mouth. Oh, yeah, that is. This
They
is.
had it for years,
This
too.
is.
Wasn't it
This is
like-
turning into just absolute nightmare fuel, and I'm good. I'm good. We're good here. All right.
You've made a creepy bus. Right? Congratulations.
Yeah, I've made my own creepypasta. I'm kind of proud. That's just on the fly. So remember, you can also throw on by appearances by faces as well. So select or switch to that. I'll go back to leather and cloth since apparently I'm kind of making this little plush toy. Let's see here. Yellow, why not? Now, if y'all are opening these and you're seeing this symbol here, that just means you have to download it. It's not already part. So downloading these and you'll automatically have the option. And drag it up to my often used or in this design. And because I have by faces selected, select the face, drop it on. Now it has yellow cloth as my face. And if I want to make sure that that also is down there, there we are. Okay. Oops, switch back over automatically to auto assign. There we are. So far, so good. So I've made it decidedly horrifying. All right, so let's save here. Okay. And don't forget, for the eyes, stuff like that, yeah, I can drop in like other colors.
Button eyes, just completely black.
Yeah, if you want button eyes, you actually have to model buttons.
How about just the darkest void then?
Well, then we're going to go with paint, which they do have, not glossy, metallic, powder coat, rough. There we are. And just dark black. Perfect. By faces, select just the pupils and just darkened eyes. Grand. And I will most certainly save it like that so that the thumbnail just stares you down. All right. So, like I said, what I wanted to do was show you a few different examples of how you can split bodies up, how you can split faces up in order to add some features and such. So we're going to leave that there. I'm going to start another one because I want to show you how to actively split faces up within the form space. So play around with this. Enjoy your creepypasta frog monster, and may it visit you in your nightmares.